All right, units of service. It's the total hours that the nurse worked per patient day, so in a 24-hour period, over your patient census equals your hours per patient day. So for the sake of simplicity, let's say you only have RNs working. So you have 3 RNs, each working 8 shifts. So that's 24 hours that they worked, because you only have 3, right? So if you had 6 RNs all working 8-hour shifts, then it would be 48 hours worked over the total patient census, which again, for simplicity, I will say the patient census was 10. So back to my 3 RNs, days, PMs, and nights, they work 24 hours divided by 10. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. Isn't that 2.4? Okay. I'm glad I can be an idiot. Yeah. So then it would be 2.4 hours per patient day. But know that they also include just your CNAs and your techs or whatever they're called on your unit and LPNs. All of those for every shift is the total amount of hours worked divided by your patient care census. Understand this, okay? If you work full time, you're considered a 0.10. So you work 10 8-hour shifts in a 2-week period. That's 80 hours. 10 times 8 is 80. 9 times 8 is 72. So if you work 9 8-hour shifts in 2 weeks, then you're a 0.9. If you work 8 8-hour shifts in 2 weeks, you're a 0.8. But know how to figure that out, okay? All right, salaried and exempt. Salaried is full-time equivalent stand for FTEs. Okay, if you're salaried, you're like me. I get paid the same amount of money whether I am at Alverno for 1 hour or if I am here for 12 hours. And I am exempt. That means if I'm not here, I still get paid the same amount. So it doesn't matter how much overtime, I still get paid the same amount. Variable FTEs are hourly. So when I go to prison, I'm not exempt. I'm an hourly employee. I get paid based upon the amount of time that I'm there. Okay? Productive versus non-productive time. Just understand that when you're doing a budget, you have to include non-productive time. So productive time is direct patient care, staff meetings, and competency training. These things are considered into your schedule, but are considered non-productive time. Like your vacations, your holidays, your sick time. Orientation is non-productive time. That's what makes orientation so expensive, because you're paying someone to provide direct patient care and to orient you. Scheduling. Scheduling is defined here. The implementation of the staffing plan by assigning people to work specific hours and specific days of the week. That's its definition. Remember, sometimes the manager does it. Sometimes there's a central office. Sometimes there's self-scheduling. Just be careful when they promote self-scheduling, because if you have 8 people who want to work Wednesday and only 2 people who want to work Saturday, the manager is going to fix that to have more, the same amount of people on each shift that she needs. I was trying to think of some colorful way to say that. I can't. Okay, and so then they use the staffing and the scheduling to measure productivity, and this is what your manager is held to. And sometimes they do your productivity by average daily census. Sometimes they do it by what percentage of the hospital is full. Sometimes they do it by the average length of stay. So this is just the way that they figure it out. Just note that that exists. You're not going to be requested to do that. And remember that the variance is the difference between what is projected and what you actually staff. And it can be positive or it can be negative. So census tanks and you don't have anybody there. So you might have a positive variance because people got to take low census. Or the census might be, it might be negative because you have 6 sitter cases. Okay? So then you have more staff there than you actually projected. All right. So we spend a ton of money on healthcare, right? We really do. And because healthcare prices increase, the price of the goods and services we buy increases because they pass that off to the consumer. That's all this is saying. Why? So cost equals the price they charge times the amount of times you use it. All right, so this is why, so the doctor charges you $100 and he charges you $100 for 15 minutes, right? And so then he sees 4 people in an hour times $100, that's $400, that's the cost. So inflation causes prices to increase, and so do administratives in inefficiencies, and these are other reasons. All right, this is who insures us. 45% of us are insured by the government, Medicare, Medicaid, Title 19, that kind of stuff. 35% of us have other insurance. 15% of us pay out of our pocket, and 4% of us have other. Okay. These are different reimbursement methods. The cost of the service plus the markup. The markup is the profit. So it probably costs the physician $25 to see you for 15 minutes. 75 of that is the markup. I'm being simplistic because I think it really does cost him more than that, but I'm just trying to give you an example. Cost base is the allowable expense. So they charge you something, and the insurance comes back and says, okay, you may have charged $100, but we're only going to pay $50. That's the difference. Sometimes that's because of a contractual allowance that they're like PPO, and they say, you know, if somebody comes in for an earache, we're only paying $50. Capitation is that's more HMO, which we don't have a lot of anymore. So there's managed care, and managed care is PPO organizations, right? And then you have organized networks of delivery, and those are Aurora, Wheaton. They always have that. So they have an inpatient unit, they have an outpatient clinics, they have their own lab places, they have their own CT places. And basically what this means for nursing is without margin, there is no mission, meaning whether you work for a nonprofit or a for-profit organization, we all have to make some money in order to stay in business. So a for-profit organization will take whatever money that they make and they give it to their stockholders. A nonprofit organization will take the money that they make and reinvest it into the organization. Not saying that for-profits don't, it's just the most simplistic way I can think of to help you know the difference at a glance. Nonprofits need at least 4%. They need at least 4% profit in order to maintain survival and be able to reinvest in themselves. And we all have to take responsibility for that, because we are calculated in the room and board charge. So think of all the supplies we bring into rooms that are, why can't I think of the word? Isolation rooms. You know, we bring those things into isolation rooms, all the supplies, because Lord knows we don't want to be in there and not have our supplies. And we may not want to suit up to go in there and see what supplies we need, right? So we bring everything we need in there, only to get in there and find out we have 6 days worth of everything we need. So, and then the patient leaves and we can't reuse those supplies. So that's one simplistic way that I can think of coming right out of nursing school that you all can take charge of cost containment. Okay, all right. Okay, and here we go. Here's some other nice things. And again, I'm going to stop because we're going to talk about budgeting next, and I don't want to rush and I don't want to run out of time. The reason I can only do these in 15-minute intervals is because the 15-minute interval one is free, and free is good. All right, thanks. See you in a minute.